At the beginning of June, I went to Boone, North Carolina for Megan Watterson's Spiritual Eye of the Heart retreat. I've been to Omega twice for the Mary Magdalene Revealed retreats, and those have been incredibly life-giving. Also was probably the only person there hungover. And it's okay. I no longer drink, and everything was very clear at the Spiritual Eye of the Heart retreat. And just being in this sacred space with 75 people and doing these practices of taking 3 breaths and asking questions to your soul and listening to these beautiful, true stories about Mary Magdalene and Christ and Thecla and the woman that protected the big sequoia tree, feeling so honored to be there. And the first night, Megan asked us to take 3 breaths, and she kind of guided us. She said, just go below the surface like of water. And so what I first saw was I was at the bottom of a lake where it's very still and quiet. And all of a sudden this statue appeared. And it was this statue that I deeply related to when I was 17 and at a workshop. And the statue was of a woman like with her knees pulled to her, with her head down. And I was like, oh my God, there's that statue. But immediately it turned into like, it was like a silver statue then of like an Emmy that was, but with the arms out like this. And it was this silver statue just like this. So the Emmy, I had to look it up. The Emmy's like this, holding something fantastic, I assume. But it was this. And immediately it shot through the water, like so fast, like hurling towards outer space. And I've described it as like in the first Toy Story when Woody is on the back of Buzz Lightyear's back and they're like flying through the air and Woody's face is like going all over the place and Buzz is like this. That is how fast it was going. It was like a rocket launching off of Earth, shooting into outer space. And then it just stopped. And it was a different kind of silence. And it was so spectacular. That is what grounded me into the retreat. And then a while later, we were in another meditation. We were to ask internally, what is like not your goal for the weekend, but what was the word? Inner fountain. What is your intention for the retreat? And I immediately saw this 7-tiered fountain. And the message was to trust the fountain of truth within, the inner fountain of truth. And it was 7 tiers, which is like the seven chakras or the 7 powers of the ego. But I was invited to like play and dance and splash in each layer. And a fountain is the water is moving. So that was incredibly special. Just to trust, and play and play and play. And then another vision I had was, it was just the dropping in. It wasn't the full soul voice meditation, but it was the dropping in again in the water going below the surface. And this time it was the ocean that I found myself in this vision. And there was this huge, like the mouth of Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors. Like that's how big this thing was. At the bottom of the ocean was a clam, and this big, very Disney Little Mermaid vibe, huge. And I like slowly moved towards it, and it was this light pink clam with like around the lip part of it, I guess, was white. And I moved towards it, and it slowly just popped open, and there was this gorgeous pearl inside, which is my birthstone, one of them. And it was this mother of pearl that was just there, which was incredible. And then there was the soul voice meditation on the second day. And usually on these retreats, the second day, it gets hard for me internally. It's like there's resistance or like irritability that comes up. It always happens. And when I noticed it this time, I was like, oh, it's happening again. But that's growth, right? That's growth. So it started happening, and the soul voice meditation, the question was, what limiting belief am I ready to release? And my friend who passed away within the past decade, Matthew Whitfield, was suddenly there in this vision. And the message was, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. And he reminded me, he had his hands on my shoulders and was very kind, but very firm, reminding me that in the past, I was treated very poorly by someone. And it was so not okay. And so not what I deserved. And it wasn't about me, it was about them. But he kept bringing me back to leaning into the way I make people feel, the way I made him feel. And I think about him so much in that green Jeep. and his peanut allergy. And then I was reminded of the song Hands by Jewel, which has always reminded me of him. I was with him one year on his birthday. He was a New Year's birthday. And today is my birthday. And he was just such a special, special friend who always made me feel loved and cared about, always. I will miss him forever, but I know that he is also with me. But that was the message. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I get to just be me. And then the last soul voice meditation, the question was, knowing that I am worthy to receive, what message is there? And all of a sudden I see this like flagpole, but it was like it wasn't like this smooth flagpole. It was like, it had like divots in it, but it was still this cylinder, but it shot up into the air. Everything is this axis mundi, very Jungian. But it shot up into the air, and it was silver, that dulled silver. And I couldn't see the top. And I knew I would ascend, but it was like, just trust it again, back to the trust. And it was like, the message was like, run it up the flagpole, just run it up the flagpole. And I'm like, that sounds very sportsy, which is not totally me at all. But yeah, it was just run it up the flagpole. So more to come. And just such deep gratitude for all of the visions from the spiritual eye of the heart. In Greek, the word is nous, N-O-U-S. Just so deeply thankful, and thankful for all the incredible people that were there. I mean, I got to sit in this incredible room in Boone, North Carolina, on this sacred land with these sacred people, all trusting the pull. It's like all trusting that pull on their heart to go. It was just exquisite.